Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you guys so much for joining me for this brand new interview for the Stock Monkey Mike Show, which you can now listen to on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere you can find podcasts. Make sure you guys go subscribe to that, so then you don't have to literally watch this entire video. But if you are watching this entire video, I do appreciate it. Make sure you guys like and comment and maybe subscribe. Maybe it'd be nice. Today I have a very special guest with me. This individual right here, I've been such a huge fan of because what he has done, especially in the Midwest area, especially with companies such as ICW, I believe. There's so many promotions over there in the East Coast that this guy has been killing it on, along with the Iron Beast as well as with KTB. So, ladies and gentlemen, personal trainer, professional wrestler, Shane the Iron Demon Mercer. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. What's up, man?
I'm doing well, my friend. I do appreciate you taking the time, getting to talk to me. With 2021, hopefully there are some good vibes for you there.
Oh, I'm waiting for it. Definitely waiting for some of these doors to fly open and see what's ready.
So one thing I do want to start off with is just kind of your athletic background. I mean, the way that you have your professional wrestling is very a strongman kind of style. So can you talk to us about kind of having that great athletic background?
Man, honestly, whenever I was growing up, I didn't really play a whole lot of sports until I hit high school. And the sports I played, it wasn't like the average football, basketball, soccer, baseball type deal. I got into powerlifting a lot. So whenever I first hit, I think it was like sophomore year, I just I knew things were kind of like, all right, you're going to graduate. You got to go do what you want to do in life. Yada, yada. You heard about all the teachers and stuff. So it kind of made me reestablish myself a little bit like, all right, my dream still hasn't changed from like kindergarten. I still want to be a wrestler, but I'm more serious about it now. And I look at myself and I was like, I think 141 pounds at the time. I was like, yeah, I need to do something. I need to start doing something here. So I started hitting a little local gym at the high school with no idea what I was doing at all. I would just go in there and try to lift the heaviest stuff I could find and just do it as many times as I could. And over the next year, got a few of the high school coaches to help me out, kind of, I guess, take the pieces and guide me in a straight line with what I should do. And they helped me out a lot. And I got involved in powerlifting a lot. I also picked up martial arts around the same time. So a lot of the sports I was interested in was never really like the ball sports, so to say. It was always like the more physical side of stuff.
Yeah, and just having that athletic background, I think, really helps with a lot of, your professional wrestling style. Of course, like I mentioned, it's that strong man kind of style. I've watched a couple of your matches with Chris Dickinson. Same thing goes with Danny Garcia, the Red Death. I mean, just the way that you present yourself with these matches are truly mind-blowing.
Thank you, man.
So one thing that I do want to point out as well is the Iron Demon nickname. If we could talk about that for a little bit, where was the inspiration for that nickname?
Again, this kind of goes back to childhood days. I had a few buddies of mine that we used to always watch these old horror movies growing up, and kind of got latched on to these figures growing up because everybody liked a certain thing. One buddy of mine, he loved werewolves, but he had to throw like an element into it, so he loved like ice, and he ended up calling himself, whenever he was doing like backyard together, and they called himself Frostbite. So he had the werewolf name with a little ice to it. Another buddy of mine loved vampires, so he attached himself to the name Bloodlust, called himself that. So then after that, I was like, well, what do I think could be the vampire? What do I think could be a werewolf? I had to sit there and go on about it and think about it. And I was like, demon. Yeah, there we go. Demon fits in with it. And that keeps going forward until I had this I used to go by Diablo for years. That was my name from, backyard days going into it, up until the first few years of me actually breaking in professionally doing this. Then I started learning, okay, somebody's going to search my name and they search Diablo. All they're going to find is a bunch of Spanish food, and they're going to find a bunch of cars, and probably nothing has to do with me at all unless they really get in there and search. So I changed it from that to Shane Mercer, of course, and kept the throwback to Diablo by keeping the name Demon in there, the nickname. And of course, the iron part comes from the weightlifting. So,
yeah, just having that combination of the weightlifting background and just applying it to your professional wrestling style. I mean, when you look at your matches that you have and the way that you present yourself, whether that's in tag team action or whether that's in singles competition, you really see what the Iron Demon is really all about.
I want to try to bring something out there different. I know a lot of I'm not hating on anybody with it, but I've always hated like the fake strongman spots that you'll see in matches where you'll see like some guy pick up like 2 people in like a Samoan drop or something like that. And if I think of it in like a powerlifting terms, a lot of guys can put like 500 pounds on a bar. They're going to squat, for instance, and they can walk out with it. I mean, if anybody's going to pick up a bar and just walk out with the weight, that's easy to do. But if you're going to actually go down and squat that weight, that's a whole total different process. So if I go in there, I want to try to separate those kind of spots if I can and do stuff that I don't think, or it's going to take a hell of a lot of effort for other people to try to follow up and do.
Yeah, and you're telling your own story in your own unique way. That's what I think is absolutely great with professional wrestling. When you're telling your own story, putting your own taste to it, it really makes for a great character and a great person.
Yeah, it's all just, like you said, a little bit of a real life induced in this, because I'm still chasing as hard as I can. I just want to put everything I can into what I do. So if I can look back on it and I see something that I enjoy, hopefully other people will as well.
So one thing I'm very curious about too is that you're also part of the Iron Beast along with KTB, the Kyle the Beast. Where was that name originated from for that tag team?
Well, the name actually originated from Twitter. We just kind of asked the Twitter world one day. We was like, so what do y'all want to call us instead of just KTB and Shane Mercer? And of course, Iron Demon, Iron parts from me, KTB, Kyle the Beast, Beast parts from him. We did our little dance, put our fingers together. There you go.
Yeah, and what I love about that tag team as well is, again, that strongman style. You have Kyle the Beast, who brings just the intensity, and then you have yourself, where you just bring the power, you bring the intensity that goes along with it.
Yeah, we have teamed up once. We actually teamed up for a little bit before. This is back in the Evolve days. We had like a little bit of a run there together right before we all went our separate ways and everything. We was doing a little good thing there together, but we paid visit to it a little bit as well in my first ever GCW match. I was in the scramble, and we did a few spots in there with Tony Deppen, where I was tossing Deppen to him and he was tossing back to me, and so on and so forth. So we had little sprinkles here and there for it, but we never full-fledged broke out until last year now.
Yeah, and of course the fans absolutely love the Iron Beast and the Iron Demon. I actually saw a clip on Instagram, I believe, from Wrestling with Unicorns, which you guys could go follow on the link in the description. Just how do you feel with that fan reception when it comes to events like GCW?
Man, I'm loving it right now, because there's been like a limited, and you know how the world is. There's been a limited edition, I guess you could say, of how everything is, and there's just so much more that everything could be if it wasn't for all this COVID crap going on. So with this much like premise that the world has shown and fans coming out this much for Iron Beast, it just makes me wonder what is really going to happen, or how much those doors can really be open once everything finally settles down, if and when it does and gets to that level. Because I mean, we've had less than 20 shows last year at GCW, maybe, or right at it, somewhere around there, and it's already got this much of a following behind it. So I just want to see, like, we're just scraping a little bit of what we can really do.
Yeah, and you always have to take advantage of opportunities, because of course you have wrestling companies like AEW Dark that has their wrestlers in the crowd. You obviously have Impact that has no crowd, and then you have WWE that has some sort of a virtual crowd. Like, is there any preference for you?
I mean, always the real crowds there. You can just feed off that energy, but it's become a new learning lesson, trying to focus on these different types of crowds, different types of environments, because there's been so much different stuff just pop up recently for people to try to mold and get with the times and just offer something different during this pandemic. So I mean, it's interesting, but I'm still gonna go back to my roots and feel the energy of the crowd always.
And it's always the energy of the crowd that gets the Iron Demon going. That's what I love. When the energy comes up, you get the offense going. It's truly something special to see.
Oh yeah, definitely. Anytime we're out there, that'll never get over.
So one thing I'm very curious about too is you have such a special ability to be not only a singles competitor but also a tag team wrestler. Is there an inspiration for you to, when you got into the business, that was there a particular wrestler that was just a tag team competitor that got you in, or was it more of a singles competitor?
I was always primarily based singles whenever I first started with it, because me and KTB, we kind of, like I said, stumbled upon each other. And that's kind of how the whole thing came to be. I don't think either one of us really had plans with that. But I was always just based off single wrestlers for the most part.
Yeah,
as far as any certain ones doing it, I don't guess there's any certain ones that really inspired me to do it. I had favorites, growing up that got me into it, and I like to watch growing up, but there was never like a certain one that inspired me, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at great singles competitors, they're also great tag team competitors as well. People, when you look at Daniel Garcia, who you faced off before, was also in tag team competition at one point of time. It really feels like in professional wrestling, you can do both and still be great at it.
Yeah, just as long as you have that segue with it. You don't want to try to overlay both of them, because then one might overlay the other if you're going into it, but as long as you can still put both of them out there in their own separate ways and show that you can be a true entity in both that you do, you're always good with it.
Of course. And one thing I do love about Shane Mercer is the passion that you have for this professional wrestling business. Where did that passion start for you?
Probably when I was 2 years old. My dad took me to I think it's like a movie gallery or video vault. I forget the name of the store. But he got me to choose a video to watch, and I ended up choosing WrestleMania 3. Or not 3, WrestleMania 6. Mm-hmm. And I chose Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan just because the front cover of the tape was like a electricity and had both of them with their hands in the air and all this colors and fire and all this stuff. I just thought it was so badass when I was a kid. That ended up being the first match I saw, but then seeing that and all the energy that went into it was mesmerizing.
Yeah, it's always the storytelling, especially with a match like that. I mean, you go back to all the matches that happened in the past 20, 30 years. It's truly something mind-blowing when you see matches like that.
Yeah, and there's only matches like that that come once in a blue moon. You had like Ultimate Warrior Hulk Hogan, and I don't really feel like there was another match like that until you had Rock and Hogan. Then I don't feel like there's another match like that until you hit maybe the first one with John Cena and The Rock. And I feel like every era has like one or two of those matches. And that's really about it.
And we mentioned earlier in the interview that how much impact COVID-19 has impacted not just professional wrestling, but everything in life. What was that reaction for you when COVID-19 had hit and it just stopped everything?
This sucks. I mean, because it was the most horrible time for it all to go to. Because I had so much planned out. WrestleMania weekend, as you know, many companies come together around the world and they kind of surround the area that WrestleMania is at. So there's so many independent shows just coming together, so many bookings, so many names. Like there's probably 30 Japan names, 30 big names coming from England, Mexico, everywhere coming to independent wrestling. Just everybody that kind of feeds off that big system. And then this happened like 2 weeks before it. Mm-hmm. So once it hit, I just kind of watched things just slowly go down. And it was just horrible watching one show after another get canceled. Then whenever my show got canceled there, which is a big part of what GCW and the collective, it was just, yep, it kind of gave me a little bit of foresight now this year is going to be.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, with the downside, there was an upside to this all, and GCW was giving the collective, which now I feel like the collective is now the ECW arena of the modern era, giving all these independent wrestling stars opportunities to go showcase their passion. When you got that call from GCW that you were going back, was there excitement? What was that initial reaction?
This is going to be a real rebuild process for wrestling in itself. My passion and love of it. I just love getting in the ring regardless. It don't matter. But as far as that goes, I knew just with wrestling as a whole, it was going to be a rebuilding process. And more of like, we're taking pieces of what we can. And like I said earlier, trying to put them together and see what fits. Because you don't know if some people are going to like that. Some people have already been turned off from wrestling itself just because they don't like there's no fans there. And then with a lot of independent shows now, they're doing online streams with very little to no fans at all, and some people hate it. They just can't stand it because of that energy. They can't pick up on it without fans there. Then other people, they love it because there's so much of a different environment now and more focused without it. So it's just, it all really depends on who's wrestling, what place you go to.
Yeah, and when it seems with Game Changer Wrestling, they really do their great job of following guidelines, making sure their talent is safe, making sure their fans are safe. But not only that, really bringing back that old normal.
Yeah, they every time I went there, I've always had to get a COVID test. They'll have water stations set up backstage. I always try to get the fans separated 6 feet apart and have a building quota, whatever that can be allowed. So it's always good every time.
Absolutely. And one thing I do want to mention as well is I want to get your actual thoughts on this one. We talked about the Iron Beast earlier. When KTB made his appearance on AEW Dark, what was your reaction to that?
I was glad to see him on there, man. He's been doing this a long time, and he deserves a chance to do it, and I hope he hits the ball in the park with it. But as soon as it happened, and he was on there, I automatically started getting probably 20, 30, 40, if not more, tags about Iron Beast being on there.
Yeah, of course, when I saw KTB appear on AEW Dark, I was like, oh my God, Iron Beast are good. It's inevitable at this point.
And I'm not going to say it's not happening. I'm not going to say it is. I'm just going to say just wait and watch.
Well, once again, Shane, I do appreciate you being on, and I do thank you for the conversation. But before we go, I do have one final question, and that is, of course, you know, we don't know what happens with 2021 or the future that holds. But I do have to ask, does 2021 look like the year that we see Shane Mercer, the Iron Demon, go into AEW, to Impact Wrestling, or to WWE?
Hopefully this is a year you see something like that. That's the goal. Before the end of this year, you see something going. I've had so many years now where something's came up, where I was wrestling with Evolve, something, my dad ended up passing away that year. So, of course, that opportunity just flew away, just right out of my hands. But, of course, it was a tragic thing that happened, but then built back up. And you had last year COVID happen. So it's always been some roller coaster or something going on. So hopefully looking toward the end of 2021, something going on at least somewhere. I'm ready for it.
Well, we cannot wait till that happens. Once again, make sure you guys go follow the Iron Demon anywhere on social media. Make sure the links will be down in the description below. And if you're listening on Spotify or on Apple Podcast, you can find that somewhere if you just search up the Iron Demon, the Shane Mercer. But once again, Shane, thank you so much for joining me. Wishing you the best in 2021, and hopefully we'll talk to you in the future.
You as well, man. Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.